Hi there.
Hello. Good morning. Good
Hello. I'm so
afternoon, wherever you are.
excited to see you all. I know Jessica's coming on. Welcome. Have a couple more coming in. Jessica, I'm so glad you you got the message.
So happy to be here. And I took a quick look at the worksheet and I love doing the part that I did. So thanks for inviting
Good.
me.
Good. Well, you probably hear some birds chirping in the background. This is what I do before I have a big call, and just wanted to welcome all of you. And I know, let's see, Adis is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have a few more coming on, but welcome, welcome, welcome. And Heather, so glad you're here too. Kara, good to see you. It's been a while.
Nice to see you.
And Gabrielle, it's good to meet you. I'm delighted that you're here.
Yes,
So,
nice to see
um,
everybody. I'm excited too.
yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yep, loud and
All right,
clear.
great, perfect, 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 perfect. So, I'm trusting that you all got the worksheets, and what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do slides. I'm just going to assume that you have this worksheet along with you, and we will move. Whoop, here come a couple other people. We will move along very rapidly, so it's okay to look down. I'm not going to admit other note takers, but I will share the replay with you. Is that okay? Everybody cool with that? Okay. Let me just see if there's anyone else. Hi, Regina.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
And I just had mentioned I'm not going to do any note takers, so because then it slows things down a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
no worries.
And also just for folks' privacy. So, um, wow. Well, I am thrilled that you're here on so many fronts. Hi, Adis. Welcome. And
Well,
really, I'm going to just start by saying that I really appreciate your brilliance, each of you, what you're building. And I believe that your brilliance is your birthright, and your well being is your birthright too. And that each of you is building something amazing, and that you're uniquely designed to create. So there are no guarantees about the outcome of what we're all building, right? But there are certain things that you can control, and that's what we're going to dig into today. And so that's really kind of my little bit of an introduction, and really to my objective here is that today you'll validate your vision for what it is that you're building, and create some clarity and actually do a little reset today. And I may say things that you've heard before, and the repetition is deliberate. My request is that you be open minded and just allow some of this to sink in, because it's really powerful stuff. And so what we're going to also do is I have some prizes, like, just some gifts for those who continue through the 3 days. I have two books that entrepreneurs that I know have just come out with. They're pre-published books that I'm going to gift an hour, a 90-minute session with me, and then a discount in our upcoming cohort. And so at the end of this, if for those who are interested, I will share with you a little bit about the cohort. Does that sound okay? You cool with that?
Right.
Okay, awesome. That's my invitation. So I'd like you to pull out your sheets, and just before we start, I'm going to turn up the volume of my little nature sounds here, and we're just gonna like clear away everything that you have been doing this morning to prepare you to listen today. All right. So I don't know if you can hear this. Can you hear this? A little bit? Okay. So just sit in your seat and just rest your feet on the floor. Close your eyes for a second. and just inhale very slowly. Listen to the river and exhale very slowly. Exhale any toxins or negative thoughts. And inhale very slowly again, the good oxygen, fresh air, good thoughts. And exhale any negative thoughts. All right, that's it. Now I'm going to actually turn off my Spotify. Hang on one sec. I'm going to pause. All right. Can you hear me a little better now? Okay. Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. So the first part of this is I really want to introduce you to this new concept that I call the strategy myth, right? And what this is about is that really strategy, all the best strategies only work if you can hold the results, all right? So what I mean by that is, I'll just give you an example. So in my startup, I grew to, in a matter of a couple years, I grew to 30 team members, 70 museum partners, 4,000 products that we were selling online, raised 10 million in venture capital. And there was this incredible pressure to grow from 200,000 per month to $1 million per month. And that pressure and that pressure was intense, and there was very little for margin of error. And to me, instead of being excited, I was so passionate and excited about my business and my company. Yet this was scary. This was really scary. And I spent a lot of time, I was basically, my adrenaline was flowing, and I couldn't relax. And a lot of other things happened that I couldn't control. But if I had known what I know now, and that's why I do this, I think I would have weathered through the 9/11 storm that wrecked our fourth quarter earnings and messed up our strategic partnership and ended up having to wind down our company. And, I did a gazillion things right, but I wasn't managing me. I didn't have a good personal operating system. And so I was taught I went to business school, I was taught all these great strategies for, business plans, masculine frameworks, pitch decks, all this good stuff. And I was ignoring this idea that my body was in survival mode, trying to prove. I was trying to be taken seriously. And so that's what I want to talk about a little today. It may or may not apply to you, but hopefully something will apply to you. That's my hope, is that over the next few days, you'll learn something that is actually a game changer for you, a reset that will actually just move molecules, so you will feel much more excited. Oh, good, I'm glad this resonates. And just be able to move forward through things that are actually really difficult, because, hey, it is difficult to run your company, run a family, run your relationships. It's difficult. So that's just, that's part of it. And my hope here is that by the end of this, you will have a few tips that will allow you to reset and actually enjoy the journey a little bit more, right? Because when you're enjoying the journey, then you're more relaxed and things start to fall into place. So many of us, many women, I think, ignore this deep knowledge of inner wisdom and intuition that we have, and some of that is somatic, what I call somatics. And instead, they're constantly looking. A lot of founders that I work with are constantly looking for outside validation. Yes, you do have to be smart about what you're building. You have to know the right people, build the right relationships, have a good strategy, but you need to trust your inner validation too. And so I hope that this will give you some more tools to do that today. So the first truth bomb here, and I think this is on your sheet, is that you can't out earn or outperform what your body isn't ready to receive. Okay. And so this is why sometimes your results aren't strategic, they're somatic too. And so if you don't pay attention, you will keep collapsing, right? And pushing and forcing, which is what I did in my company. And so let's see how this applies to you. Hopefully you answered a couple of questions on the sheet. And so I'd like to just go through here and have this be interactive because that's a lot more fun for everybody. But basically, I asked you 3 questions. And the first was to describe a time when you felt totally relaxed and confident as a leader, something that you did that really worked, resonated, it was easy, it was fun. And describe how you're showing up as a founder and leader. And I would love for it if you guys, if you're willing to share what you wrote just verbally, or if you prefer to not talk and you'd rather just put it in the chat. I've got the chat open too. We can look at that as well. So anyone want to start?
I can go first.
Okay, great.
It was a few years ago. I was a startup consultant to an early stage startup. And I felt totally relaxed and confident. I had just come off another tech startup where it had a positive exit. So I was feeling good. And what was different about this is that it's the first time I've ever served as a consultant. So on the one hand, there are responsibilities, which I did take seriously. But on the other hand, I also didn't really have this notion of this job that I had to fulfill and all that. It just felt different, actually. So I feel like I do show up this way most of the time, but of late I just feel like I haven't, because what's different about my current experience as in starting something from ground zero is that I don't actually have a team to rely on, and I have to do work that I'm not good at doing, and so there's no one else to pawn it off on. And then I realized I just suck at this, and I just have to do it because there's no one else to do it, and I don't want to spend the money to get someone to do it, right? And I'm just like, I really stink at this.
So real. And we will get into that when we get into tomorrow, actually. Great example. And so when you were, how would you say, how would you need to be to do some of these things that you got to do to move the ship forward?
I mean, I feel like I have to grind it out until I can afford a team. And I don't know if there's a better way to do this without spending money. I've tried to leverage free interns, and they can only do so much. I had to spend a lot of time validating their work. So, I don't know. I don't have a solution to it just yet.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Fractional folks, yes. Thank you, Adis. Anyone else that you think of a time when you felt totally relaxed and confident, and then, how were you, what were you doing, and how were you showing up as a founder and a leader when you felt like really good and top of your game?
I can share next.
Thank you, Carol. Yeah.
So, honestly, I just had this experience last week when I was pitching our new which is a biotech company in pre-seed, to a potential investor. And, I just really felt like I have this sometimes where I'm like in the zone, and it's how I describe it. And you asked what characteristics I had during that period of time. And I think when I explored that, I find that I was very mission driven, enthusiastic, focused, articulate. I listen, and I'm able to really respond to specific questions that are asked. I'm clear on my goals. I know what I'm trying to accomplish. And at that moment, I have the ability to have an engaged and productive discussion. And honestly, on those times, I come away being like, that was just so much fun. You know, I feel like I'm engaged. You get the feedback that they really get what you're saying and they understand what you're trying to accomplish. And it's very energizing.
Awesome. That's a great example. Yes. Anyone else before we move on? Gabrielle?
Sure, I'll share a brief one. I was going into my more recent time when you asked this question, and last week I just impromptu at a local incubator in San Antonio got asked to go in the podcast room and just kind of, do a little back and forth with a visiting ecosystem builder, and it was just so much fun talking about kind of what I've done and where I'm going and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it was no pressure, right? You weren't pitching in front of a bunch of investors, and it kind of validated that what I'm doing does mean so much to me.
Mhm.
And I think what I tend to not give myself time to is because I'm, kind of like Regina said, we're so small. I'm doing so many things that I'm always f trying to figure out what's next, what's the highest priority. I have a list this long, and
Right.
so giving myself time to just decompress and think about, what has gone well, what hasn't,
Mhm.
and trying to just be more relaxed, I guess, even though I think I am, but inside I'm not.
Yeah.
You
Can
know,
hear you.
it's
Great.
yeah. But
And
resonate with it's Kara. Yeah, it's because I'm doing our pre-seed round two for women's health product, and as you all know, many of the angel investors are men, and we're developing a product for helping pelvic floor, and they don't get it. And
yes.
women get such a fraction of the investment. And so the frustration of what am I doing wrong when
Mhm.
it's probably not us doing it wrong, it's the system that's not set up to support
Yes.
women and our products and our
Oh, yeah.
technologies.
And I could go in a huge other direction talking about that because I spent a lot of time thinking about that. I will say I think almost everybody here is raising at this point, so you're in good company. All right, so and that may lead us to the next question, but what did you list as your number one conscious intention? Or the key result that you are not yet experiencing in your work or your life right now? And you can just popcorn it really quickly. Jessica, go
So
ahead.
the flow, I'm really looking for flow. And when Gabrielle, a few other
Oh,
people
we
said
can't hear you.
fun.
Yeah,
Sorry, can you hear me? Is that
a
better?
little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So flow and fun. Fun is a word that I heard people say when they felt confident and relaxed. And so I want more fun in the work.
Yes. Awesome. Anyone else? Just quickly popcorn. Time management and giving myself personal time. Yes. Awesome. We're going to talk about that too. Okay. Anyone else? Kara, you're
I'll
up.
jump in. I have kind of a broader one, which is really to be my best self at all times. Importantly, to have the courage to do what I know is best for me and others,
Ooh, love that.
irrespective of what's going on around, which is sometimes very hard to do in the noise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me go on that one because the next question is, what kind of person do you need to be to create that intention? And also, Gabrielle, to you, for time management and ADIS listed financial freedom. If anyone else wants to put your number one intention in the chat, that would be helpful too. So, what kind of person do you need to be? There's no right answer, but Heather?
I I would love to know. If I had the answer, I could be more like that person because
Okay, we'll get to that. All right. Anyone else? So I'm going to read to you what some other, and I've done this, I've run this several times. Some other people said unapologetic, decisive, backed up by preparation, um, a good communicator, and so those are just a couple of others, just to give you, to help you write down a few things. So next thing that we're going to do, and again, we're going to move along really rapidly because we only have 45 minutes, is I'm going to ask you to look at what drives you. All right. And so there are a lot of different factors which we go into in our conscious leadership program, but this is the first exercise. It says exercise 1 on your sheet, and it's the first, it's a reset on your values and beliefs. I believe that we need to do this. It's good to do this every 90 days, like every quarter. So reflect on what motivated you to start your business. And if you can jot this down on your, hopefully you printed this out. What would you say that you stand for in a few words? What do you value most in your life and your work? And if you feel like it, if you'd rather just put it in the chat, that's fine too. But I want to capture it and have you really think about it. Okay, growth and positivity, benevolent leader, I love that. Standing up for people, inspiring people.
I say like legacy. Like I want my
Legacy.
energy to be here after I leave in a positive
Yes.
way.
Yes. And Heather, actually, if you don't mind sharing with people how many kids you have.
Oh, I have 6 kids. I didn't birth them all. I got 4 in a marriage, but they're still
Okay.
like kittens. They're everywhere.
I just want to mention that because that's not insignificant. Okay. In terms of managing time and complexity in your multiple businesses that you're running right now. Ecosystem builder. Okay. So you stand for all of these things. Any others? Regina, do you want to list a couple?
I would say impact, quality, and integrity.
Okay. Quality, integrity, love that. Okay. All right. Now we're going to shift. What do you stand against? What do you abhor that it's a hell no?
Hoarding money for money's sake.
Hoarding? Yes. Okay. Okay. Yep. Anyone else? Gender discrimination. Anyone else? Duplicity, trying to look good.
Well, I'm in the insurance world, and it's kind of interesting, but I abhor anything that's dishonest, that smells like fraud or unfairness, and I also can't stand people who are lazy.
Trying to look good. Okay. Other people have shared corruption, greed, arrogance, and superiority, or other ones that fellow founders have listed. Okay. So, dishonesty. Yeah. So now we're going to dig into a couple of questions a little bit deeper, and this is to really get a sense of your risk tolerance. So, why do you care so much about these things? Like, what has motivated you to build this business? And actually, Jessica, I would love for people. I would love to hear particularly what you're doing because it's such an interesting business, and I have a feeling people haven't met you yet. So
Awesome. Well, so great to meet everyone. I hope you can hear me. I am a lawyer, and I also have a children's educational content company, which teaches kids about leadership and law through a children's book character that is now becoming an animated character. And so I am licensing content through the animated children's book character, and I also still practice law. So I'm balancing both worlds. And so the idea of having, I resonate with the theme of having a lot on your plate. But why do I care so much? I really hate bullying when we think about, what do I abhor? I don't just abhor injustice, I really abhor mean people. And so the children's book character is a positive character. I love positivity, wellness, people who set high goals. So this children's book character and her friends, they all demonstrate these values that I really want to see in the world. And so I care so much just because it's a part of my DNA. My family very much is, these are the values I've learned from them. Just, my ancestors fought really hard to make sure that there was fairness in the world. And, my grandparents worked really, really hard to give their kids a better life. And so, I am very privileged in many, many ways to be able to educate. And so I have a lot of thoughts, Rebecca,
Yes,
just based on
yes,
all
I
of the
know.
questions, but I
Yeah,
care a lot about a lot of things.
cool.
And
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I actually want to I would invite each of you to answer this question as part of the challenge tonight. After this, uh, Jessica shared with us. We don't have time for each of you to share, but if you could share in the LinkedIn group, it's only people that are I have approved in there. So it's a nice way for us to be able to share what has driven you. So um, when I discuss risk tolerance with founders, I want to reiterate this idea that strategy only works when your nervous system can hold the results. And for me, I have very high risk tolerance during doing certain things, but I have medium risk tolerance when it comes to financial things. So you're going to have different risk levels for different things. And so part of the stretch here, the flex, is to increase your risk tolerance in all areas and get more comfortable and notice in your body when you're kind of contracting because you're entering something that feels scary. So business school teaches us to scale using masculine frameworks and strategies in a masculine world, and that's partly what you're referring to, Gabrielle. And my thesis is that there will be and should be more women investors investing in the kinds of things that we want to see in the world. And so we're up against that right now, all of us. But the thing is, your results aren't capped by what you know, but what you're willing to feel. So if you're willing to feel uncomfortable in these areas and go up against it, you can build your capacity for this discomfort and begin to feel safe. Otherwise, you're going to block the result. All right. So that's the learning here. And it's, yeah. So there are many, many examples, but, hiring team members and then micromanaging because you don't feel comfortable, you don't have the systems in place, you don't feel comfortable. There are many ways that this can manifest. So what I want to do is put this all together, and from last night's homework, right? Or actually, I took that out of last night's homework. I want to ask you one more question on your worksheet and ask you this: what is the one thing? It could be an activity, it could be something else, but what is the one thing that you're avoiding right now in your work or life because it's uncomfortable or scary? And if you could jot it in the chat, that would be super helpful. I'll write it down. Yep. Yep. Okay. Cold calling. Anyone else? Asking my team of super volunteers to perform faster. I love that. Come on, come on. Applying for grants or funding opportunities that are too lengthy and I don't know what the ROI is. Okay. Anyone else? Other people have said, other founders have said, fundraising. It comes up again and again and again. Writing a monthly newsletter to investment community, firing people, avoiding paperwork, asking tough questions. So those are a few of the things to look out for. And then the last question for now is, what are you currently tolerating in your work or life that doesn't feel aligned with where you want to go? I know these are tough questions, but
I'll answer.
okay, go for
I
it.
think
You can write in here too.
doing like things that are like for cash flow, maybe taking on projects that might not have the flow for my life that I want to
Yep.
allow me to do the creative things. But the scarcity mindset, getting out of that so that I can focus on the bigger picture projects.
Yes. Yeah. Totally get that. Totally get that. I many of my clients, founders that I work with, have like a consultancy and their startup, because they just are at that stage where they just have to generate the cash flow to be able to support the growth. Not confronting a founder who overvalues her contribution is not playing right. Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah. Yes, I made that mistake in my company. Brought someone on as a advisor for equity, and she did nothing. Learned that one the hard way. Okay, cool. Well, here is a key learning, and you can write this down in your worksheet, because writing helps you remember, right? So you don't need more hustle or force. You need a regulated body to receive what you've already conceived in our building. And when I mean you've already conceived in our building, look around your office, where your room. Think of every single thing in the room was conceived of, like was imagined before it was created and built. The iPhone, the laptop, your speaker, everything. And so what you are doing right now is you have this concept and you're building it. So it's actually in the process of being built, and you get to let it unfold into reality, right? I know that sounds a little woo-woo, but it actually is true. Had to fire a co-founder for those reasons. Oh, yes, yeah. Ooh, that's a tough one. Okay, so now we're going to go to part 2 quickly, and this is something that I call the threshold. Okay, so your invisible threshold, and here's a core truth. All right, so for you as a CEO, every new growth level, whether it's sales, investments, new products, requires a new baseline of safety. And you're kind of like gamers, right? So every time you reach a new level, you're a newbie again. And my invitation is to not let that affect your confidence, because everybody has to start over every level. Some red flags. Here's some examples of when your nervous system deregulation is showing up. All right, underpricing, even when the value is clear to customers. Avoiding visibility or marketing because of fear of judgment, or sometimes fear of success. You're worried about success. Overgiving, not saying no, and or deferring to others, not sitting in your CEO power, right? So these aren't mindset issues; they're actually somatic imprints often. All right, so and often it's stored from years of just hustling, right? You think you have to hustle, and I love what you said, Jessica, about wanting it to be more fun and playful. Because when it is more fun and playful, you're actually relaxed and you're going to accomplish it so much more. So so your body is telling you things. Listen to these red flags. These are the invisible thresholds that you may be hitting, and you may be hitting them in unexpected areas. And you've heard that whole thing that your body knows the score. Like your body actually is going to react to things faster than your mind. But be careful, because sometimes you have these old thoughts that are not true. So your body is actually a little bit more reliable than your thoughts, which is an interesting thing. So if the result you desire isn't showing up yet, there may be some thresholds that you get to address. Does that resonate for anyone? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So the next is what we're going to do here in our going to move really quickly. The next exercise is understanding your body's wisdom. And we're going to do a real quick exercise, super simple. And it's like a body scan, all right? So imagine this. Imagine you just received, you fill in the blank, like a $250,000 investment today. Just somebody you'd reached out to just finally, realized that they wanted to invest in you. And it was wired to you today. How does your body feel?
Relieved.
Relieved. Okay. Anyone else?
But also a bit stressed, because now you've got to perform on that investment, right?
Yes. So there's this mix of relief and like elation and contraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
Onto the work. Yeah, good. And onto the work. It's like, yay. So listen to that, because that is actually what happened. I will never forget the moment that our second tranche of funding was, I got the phone call. I was in the streets of New York, taxi cabs going by. It was like before Uber. And I got the call that we actually got the second tranche of funding, and it was like time stopped. It was so amazing. We could pay, we were down to the wire of payroll and all these things. It was just so fantastic. And then about 10 minutes later, I'm like, holy shit, we have so much to do. So just, listen to that. Because if you've got everything lined up properly, and you've got systems in place and people in place to hire when you get that funding, and you have your plan, it's going to be elation, right? And you also, hopefully, you've gotten to the point where you have things in line, so that you can move to that next level and receive that next big bit. So, and the next little exercise or practice is this. You can do it on your own. It's in your worksheet. It's just lined out there. Start when you want to re-regulate. Say you notice this threshold. Just start with 3 minutes of stillness and your eyes closed and your feet flat on the ground, just like we did before. You can put on some quiet music. Inhale deeply and exhale. Let your body land, and then just check in with how your body's feeling. And if you're feeling, contracted, notice that. And notice where it lands in your body. And this is really important. Okay, I'll give you an example. I used to have terrible tech kind of phobia. And when I was learning a new program or learning new tech, I would start to hold my breath, right? And clench my jaw. And it would just, when you do that, it actually makes things a million times worse. So whenever I notice that I'm clenching my jaw or my shoulders are tight, that's my red flag. That's my body regulation red flag. It's before my brain even knows it. It's like, ha ha ha. Okay. There we go. And then you can do all sorts of things to relieve that, but don't keep pushing. Who here has pushed through those, your whole body's tense and you're just pushing through it because you got to do it? Yeah, all of us. That's your body saying, no, no, no. You know the things to do. Go get a spinach smoothie. Go for a quick walk. Do some push-ups. So the other question here, and this is on the sheet, what is the story my nervous system is running right now around my success? This is a really tough one. You may need to come back to this. Um, I'll share. I'll share what some other founders have said. Um, if I grow fast, I'll lose my freedom because I'll have to work 24/7. Um, I have to choose between being successful professionally or personally. I can't do both. Um, if I get this next level, it's going to be too hard to stay happy and calm. So those are some of the stories that founders have shared. And so what we want to do is allow you to reframe when you're kind of going through those old stories. And the reality is that this CEO is already inside you. This powerful CEO is already here. So the next couple minutes before we close today, I'd like you to describe her. Describe that founder CEO in you. Like one word. What would you use for a word?
Fearless.
What's that?
Fearless.
Fearless. Love it. Yeah.
I'm going to say coherent. So everything I do is coherent.
Mm-hmm. Do you mean kind of aligned?
Yeah. Like what you see is what you get at all times. I'm not snapping at anyone, and everything, my nervous system is aligned and coherent.
Okay. Anyone else?
Calm and collected.
I would say grit or, not giving up. I'm trying to think of the adjective and it doesn't come to me.
Type it in when you come to it. And so what is her posture when she comes into the room?
He has gravitas.
Ooh, I love that word. Grounded. Yeah. What else? Because it could be different for each of you.
Confident.
Mm-hmm. So write down on your sheets, who your CEO is when she walks into a room. I want you to really envision it. I did a little post about Elastigirl. You don't need to be Elastigirl or Superwoman or anything like that, but what when you are like 100% in the flow, confident, just feeling on top of your game, what are you believing? Like what are some of the thoughts that you would share with yourself? I am.
Anything is possible.
Mm-hmm. Full of possibility. Love it. I'm going to write a couple that people have shared. Worthy of investing in and worthy of respect. And what boundaries has she strengthened to hold more with ease? Like what is she saying no to? Adis is in my most recent cohort. We just did a bit on boundaries, a mini masterclass on that earlier this week. So you can answer that one.
Let's see. I think I'd have to say like standing by my negotiating power, just like
Mhm. Yes. Yeah.
this is what I
Awesome.
have to offer on the table. Take it or leave it.
There we
Um,
go. I love
they
that.
make them every day. Like anyone can
Yeah.
write a check every day.
Take it or leave it. This is my offer. This is what I
Yep.
love that. Love that, Natus. Awesome. All right. I'm going to go rapidly because now we're at time. And just to kind of come full circle, um, my teaching here is that your true identity as a leader, a CEO, um, is that you can't just think like her. You have to be her at a cellular level and remind yourself who she is and what her boundaries are and what she's worthy of, right? And so I guess what I'm saying is that scaling and growth, it's not just strategy, it's like identity. It's your identity level. And your body has to kind of come to recognize this next level as normal and safe, right? And most women are trying to leap into success while still regulated for survival. So, what areas can you reframe and be clear about so that you're not in survival mode, that you are moving forward as you're moving forward, and you're in creation mode, and you see this threshold between where you are today, the reality of today, and where you're going to, but you're okay with that discomfort. It's not survival mode. It's this is the normal. This is the normal journey. Okay. So I would love for you to ask yourself tonight, well, where am I still kind of trying to prove myself? I'm in proving or survival mode in my business, as opposed to this is who I am, take it or leave it. join me, join me or not. I'm not going to take it personally. I'm building this, and these are my beliefs, my values. This is what I stand for. This is what I'm creating. Don't know how it's gonna, how it's going to evolve. I don't know all the details yet, but I'm working on it, right? So that's my invitation to you for today in terms of a reset. And I guess what would I change this week if I showed up as that CEO in one area of my business? And think of like one area where maybe you're a little bit more wobbly. So you don't have to answer that now. But the way to anchor all of this in today is that every time you calibrate to a new level of safety, your leadership and your income gets to rise, not the other way around. Okay? Did that resonate with anybody? Awesome. Okay. So in your worksheet, I have a couple little edits to the day 2 worksheet. That's why, Regina, I didn't give you access to that because I'm going to put the replay. I'll put the replay of this in if you need to refer back to it. There are also a couple people who signed up who weren't able to come to today's, so they can use that replay. And I have 3 questions on your worksheet for the challenge, right? So one of those is what I just said. Where do I still outperform my body's truth in business? Like where am I pushing and in survival mode? And what areas of my business feel contractive or draining, just like really draining? And what does that tell you about your current capacity in that area? And then the last one is pretty cool. Like, who am I when I normalize holding more without doing more? So I'm receiving, but I'm not doing more. I'm not killing myself over it. Okay? Good? All right. So we'll see you tomorrow at noon. Sorry, I went a couple minutes over. I try to stick to 45 minutes. But we'll see you tomorrow, and look in your inbox for the worksheet for day 2. It's much shorter, but this one's really packed with a lot to think about. And I can't wait to for each of you to get to know each other a little bit better, because this is an insane group of brilliant women. All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.